Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. Today, we sit down with a seasoned, skilled trades professional. Trevor Matthews of refrigerationmentor.com joins us today to talk with us all about his journey in the trades. In high school, he wasn't the slightest bit interested in working with his hands. Never even crossed his mind. So he did what many others have done over the years and went to university for business. Once he graduated, he couldn't find work, so he went back to school. It was actually in the administration office of that return trip that he ended up talking with a young man that was there for refrigeration school. Once Trevor found out how much could be made and where the trade could take him, he was hooked and he signed up right then and there. His career led him all across Canada, to Australia, and back as an HVAC and refrigeration professional. He then made the leap to the office where he landed a job with Copeland. After gaining so much more knowledge on compressors, he left to pursue his passion full-time of helping people by starting refrigerationmentor.com. Listen in to hear Trevor's story of how the trade led him around the world and ultimately toward a rewarding and fulfilling life. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and on our website at blueisthenewwhite.com to receive all the latest updates. As always, this show's not monetized and we don't run ads. We rely strictly on the word of mouth from our listeners to further the mission. So if you enjoyed this episode, please take a second to rate it, review it, and share it. The future generations of tradespeople depend on it. They depend on you. So thank you again and enjoy this episode of Blue is the New White with Trevor Matthews. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. I've got such an awesome guest with me today. Can't wait to talk to him. Can't wait for you guys to get to know him. Mr. Trevor Matthews. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Josh. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have this conversation and to have you on and introduced to you by my former guest, Jamie McMillan. If anybody hasn't caught that episode, make sure you go back. Kick-ass careers. Jamie is awesome. And she introduced us just a couple of days ago, and we're already on a podcast together. So super synergistic there and really exciting. So, Trevor, for those who don't know you, why don't you go ahead and just kind of kick it off, introduce yourself, let us know who you are and where you come from.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Josh, and thank you for everyone listening. Yeah, my name is Trevor Matthews, and I'm a business owner of a company called Refrigeration Mentor. And my background is in refrigeration, refrigeration technician, refrigeration mechanic. And I spent many, many years in refrigeration before I started my own business. And I'm super excited. I actually recently started it. But before I got into refrigeration, I didn't know what the trades really were. I'm originally from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, so on the far east coast of Canada. So there's not much happening in trades. There are, don't get me wrong, there are trades going on, but in my high school, there was not many trades happening. I think we had woodworking. Really, I don't remember any other one besides that one, to be honest with you, from the little town that I was from. And it wasn't until after I went to university and then college that I figured out about trades. I've heard about them before. Like I had some uncles that were electricians, but never really talked to them about it. My dad was a general, was a carpenter, which is a trade, but I never really got in. I did a lot of that. I worked with my dad when I was younger, doing, roofing and these little jobs, putting windows in, different things like that. But I never really had a love for the trades when I was younger. Like I did it, I got paid, I did it with some jobs, but then I was told in school, hey, Trevor, you need to go to university. You need to go to college or you will not succeed, and
surprise.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, what do I do? So that's what I did. I went to university and I tried it out for a year and I'm like, wow, I just spent 20 grand and I don't have anything to really show for it.
What'd you go to university for?
I went in for business. Okay. And then from there, I went to college and finished off the business because I was going to university and I was like, wasn't doing very well. I wasn't applying myself either. I was 17, 18 years old. So it wasn't, nobody was really guiding me. It was like, here you go, you're out on your own, figure it out.
Yeah.
But then after I finished my business diploma, I was like, okay, need to go get a job. I couldn't get a job. I was going to the employment agency to find work. Like, I just spent 3 or 4 years in school. And like, I thought after I went to university or college that I'm going to be able to get a job. But I was going to the employment agencies to find work. And I was like, this is not right. So I actually went back to school. Like, I was going back to school. I was actually going back to be a bartender because I wanted to travel. Oh, you know what I mean? I thought like, oh, if I go do this, they need bartenders all over the world. And so I went back and I was actually at the registered office going to apply and register for this course. And I met actually a young guy in the registrar office. I'm like, hey, I'm from Cape Breton, so I'm real friendly. I talked to everybody. So I was like, hey, dude, what are you in here for? He was like, I'm going to take the refrigeration course. I'm like, what's refrigeration? He was like, well, you know, you go into the grocery store and you go and get your milk. I'm like, yeah, I've done that before. I bought some groceries. Well, do you know those fridges in there that, you know, keep everything cold? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess so. Well, somebody needs to service and maintenance those. I'm like, oh, okay. Makes sense. So can you travel with that job? And he was like, well, do you think they have refrigeration on the other side of the world? I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? That kind of makes sense. I'm like, does it pay well? He was like, well, my dad's a refrigeration mechanic. And this was back in the early 2000s. He was like, my dad makes $50 an hour. And I'm like, what? $50 an hour? I'm like thinking I'm going to take bartending. I'm going to be making like $10 an hour and hopefully get lots of tips.
Yeah.
And that day I registered for an HVAC program. So nice. That's how I got it in. So first generation technician, mechanic. So
wow. Okay. So I want to stop you right there real quick. So you didn't know anything about refrigeration, and I was the same way too, by the way. So you didn't know anything about refrigeration, HVAC in high school. That was kind of foreign to you at that point, right? You just, you know, you knew that you ordered food from the restaurant. You just didn't know how it got there. You know,
100%.
Yeah.
Even in my fridge at my house, yeah. I opened up the fridge and I pulled my stuff out. I didn't know how it worked or what it did. I just knew it was cool. And we didn't have air conditioning where I live, so never taught. We had a wood fire stove, right? So to heat the house. So it wasn't like we had air conditioning that I would think of like, oh, if it broke down, I would notice it.
Yeah, I don't have that excuse. I had air conditioning and I didn't know, you know, but, and that's interesting. So, you know, what hooked you in was the fact that you could travel and the fact that you know, that you can make good money. And that's all came from this guy that you talked to, you know, at the admissions office, which is unbelievable. So my question is then, you know, why do you think people aren't being taught this? I mean, those are two, I think, things that a lot of people aside from you value in a career. Good paying job that can take them anywhere. I mean, there's a lot of people that fall into that category. So why is it that this stuff isn't, you know, a little bit more mainstream? Why isn't it brought up in high school? Why were you pushed so hard towards university?
I think it's just the fact that lots of people don't know about the trades. Like, we know it, Josh, we're in it day in, day out, but lots of people don't know. It's not mainstream. And it's to educate. Everyone has their own opinion. I'll talk to some people, you know, and they'll have their own opinion on why it's the way it is. But I think it's just, once again, educating the parents, kind of like what Jamie does is, you know, going to the grade school students, but not only them, going to their parents to give them a better understanding. Yeah. You know, and I think that's where it's changed, because my parents didn't know. My parents told me, Trevor, you should go listen to your guidance counselor, go take a business. My mom told me, you need to take a, you know, business. Like that's where you're going to be able to get out of here and, you know, be successful. And, you know, it was great. Don't get me wrong. I learned a ton of stuff about marketing, about management and all that stuff while I was in university, but it wasn't something that I really loved. It was kind of like, okay, I'm being told to go do this. And when I went back to college and I found HVAC, it was something that I wanted to do because I had a goal set that, okay, I can travel, work really anywhere as I wanted to, and I can make money while I'm doing it. When I went into the business, like, I wasn't going in for the right reason. I was going in because people are saying I had to go do this.
Right.
So right there, the mindset right off the bat is different.
Yeah. So it's just another 3 or 4 years of school, of just, requirements, not necessarily something you were super interested in and thought highly of at that point, right?
Well, it's hard at 17 years old, to be honest, to decide what you're going to do.
100%.
I have nieces now that are around that age, and they started thinking about, college at, grade 10.
Yeah.
And they started thinking about where I was from. I didn't really start thinking about it until I was in my last grade. Like,
yeah.
They're like, you got to make a decision now. I'm like, what do you mean I got to make a decision? Well, you're done school in 6 months or 8 months. You need to figure out what you're going to do. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And you know what? I talk about that all the time. It's very difficult. At 18, I couldn't decide what t-shirt to wear in the morning. I mean, 17. Yeah, I couldn't. And to ask, and listen, there are some people out there who from the age of 5 years old, they know they want to be a doctor. They know they want to be a lawyer. They know they want to be a nurse. They know, whatever it may be. Sometimes kids just know, right? And that's awesome. But I'd probably say 98% of the time, everybody's in the same boat that we were, right? You get 16, 17 years old, then you start thinking about it, and what I've seen happen more often than not is, kind of like with you, people are told, well, if you don't know, well, that's okay. You go to university and you figure it out, right? And there'll be a list of things that you can pick off of a piece of paper, in a matter of 10 minutes that you want to do for the rest of your life. Like that's a little bit of pressure, and
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, as far as having those options. The problem is there's a lot of options missing, right? And that's kind of where our work comes in, and Jamie's, and educating people on the trades, because whether they go into the trades or not, everyone should at least understand that it's an option, not a fallback option, but an option to be truly successful.
Oh, most definitely. Like, I am here talking to you today because of the trades.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on this podcast with you. So it's been very helpful for me. And I had so many successes from it, not just success from being here today, owning my own business, talking to you, but along the way, things that I wanted to do with my life, I was able to do it because the trades.
Yeah.
I wanted to live in Australia. I lived in Australia because of it. I wanted to travel around Canada, North America. I did that because of the trade. And I could get a job anywhere with my business. Could I just fly to Australia and get a job? No, not with enough experience. Like, when I went there, I was just 4 years of experience, and I was able to go and work there in my field.
Yeah.
As a refrigeration technician, where if I would have tried to go with my business diploma, I don't know. Maybe I could have got a job, but I don't know about that. Not saying I was super experienced when I went there and I knew everything, because I still don't know everything now, but it just opened so many more doors for me and gave me an opportunity to meet new people, to get a job wherever I was at. Like, yeah. I remember me and my wife when we were traveling, and we would just stop in a small town, and I would knock on doors and say, hey, my name is Trevor. I'm a refrigeration technician. I'm looking for a job. And they're like, when can you start? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's just the value of having a skilled trade behind you. You can get work anywhere. And is it easy? I'll tell you, it's not easy. Every day is not easy, but it's no different than any job. It takes a lot of work and effort, and you gotta be passionate about it. And was I always passionate about refrigeration? Not always, to be honest. Like, I did it. It was just a job for me for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I just did it. I was making good money. I got raises. I was able to travel, and I was thinking about having fun and, starting to build a career. But then it grew on me more. And just really, I love talking refrigeration, talking with people about refrigeration professionals, HVAC professionals, and other trades as well. It's like we can talk about the different things that we've experienced and done, and really have like a hands-on approach with it, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. A couple things there. Number one, I love when I talk to tradespeople and they tell me, basically the same thing that you just did with, hey, I could get a job anywhere. And all I had to do was knock on the door, basically show up, have some experience on my resume. And there are a lot of people out there that will hire me and teach me, right? And train me even more. So, and a lot of what I hear when, because I talk to a lot of people who also believe highly in university and college and stuff like that. And one of the main reasons they say is, well, you got to have job security. Well, job security. Okay. And that's great. And maybe that's right. But, like you said, you had a business degree and we're looking for work. Yet when you learned a skilled trades, you found work wherever you were. So it's like, maybe this idea of job security needs to be relooked at a little bit, as far as university versus skilled trades and stuff. And listen, there's two sides to every story and there's a lot of gray area there, but I'm just saying, maybe we shouldn't be using that as the number one reason, because it's evident.
I think actually it should be the opposite. I think it should start with the skilled trade and then go to university, because since I've been back to university multiple times since I did my skilled trade, because I'm very blessed, because I want to continue to learn, get better and grow. But I went to college. I went to trade school, or I guess college again, and took HVAC. Then I went back and did another trade because I'm a gas fitter as well. Then I went back to trade school again. So I've been to multiple trade schools all over Canada because I love learning and I love getting better and growing my knowledge and my personal development. And when I started learning and knew that I can better myself, it really, for me anyway, I wanted to learn more and dive in deeper and get more information. And even since that last time I've been to trade school, I was like, okay, what we're not taught as tradespeople though is like, what do you want to do? Just say afterwards. Do you want to go into a sales role, a project manager role, a business owner role? We need to really be teaching the technicians and the people in the skilled trades the other avenues as well. And I don't think that's one of my goals. And I'm helping a lot of people I train and educate. Like, okay, you did 20 years in the field. Where do you want to go now? Because I notice a lot of the technicians that they're growing and more experience is like, okay, I want to do something. I don't want to really be on the tools anymore. Like I did my 20 years and I want to position and make a pivotal move in my career. And I don't think we're preparing those technicians as well. So there's a lot on the go for me because I really want to help that transition. And that's where like the extra courses come from community college or university or college to help them with their growth as well in the skilled trade. So if you could start in the hands-on skilled trades, build a really nice knowledge base and then continue to grow. And that's kind of what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing with lots of the people I train, because this is what the skilled trades gave me. They really gave me opportunity to do whatever I really want now.
Yeah, which is a huge statement, right? I mean, that's a very impactful statement for a lot of people, especially when you're talking about younger people trying to figure out what they want to do the rest of their life. So I think that's a really great point, having the trades first, because then at least when you're going to college or university, you've got purpose. You've got direction. You've got a taste of maybe what you like, or more importantly, what you don't like, so it can better set you up for success. And that is what we're all trying to do, right? And of course, we all define that success differently, but we're all out to achieve it, And I think that that's how you align, right? Is by knowing what you like and don't like, and what you can and what you can't succeed at. So that's very interesting. The other part I wanted to touch on was when you were talking about passions, because this is very real. I started my career in the field also, not necessarily in refrigeration, but in cooking equipment. So gas appliances, electric appliances, stuff like that. And I got to tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you that some of these restaurants that I was in, because it was commercial only, right? I didn't do any residential. Some of these restaurants that I was in, I don't got to tell you,
I've been there,
but I wouldn't classify this as a passion, right? For lack of a better term. There are some things that I can't unsee, Trevor.
Yeah, I
But
believe it. I've been there, and I know I can't unsee it either.
yeah, but, and this is what I tell people is that, there's a fine line between passion and practicality, right? And if you can balance that and find your passions within the practicalities, that is a recipe for success. Like me, for instance, right? I am not passionate about fixing ovens. I'm passionate about seeing the look on somebody's face when I do. I'm passionate about building something that I can be proud of, right? And now, you know, 13 years ago, I was in a kitchen fixing an oven, and today, Windy City has 60 employees and 4 different branches, so be aware of what your passions are and how you can find them and what you're doing practically, right? Whether you're in a trade or anything else, but it really pertains to the skilled trades.
Oh, for sure. And it's like anything. It's all about how you bring your attitude towards it. I knew nothing about refrigeration or HVAC, and now I can't stop talking about it. And working with people who love the trades and just how it has impacted their lives professionally, personally, and seeing the growth. Because all the people that I work with, even my buddies, that they are still technicians, they're either business owners, service managers that we started out 15 years ago. They love talking about refrigeration still. And when we get on a conversation, that's usually what we're talking about. Our wives probably, they know more refrigeration than most technicians because because it's for me, it's enjoyable. Me learning a bit more about it, helping others. That's another key thing, is helping others understand the value of a trade and a profession. Like I talk to a lot of technicians. I call them refrigeration professionals. HVAC professionals, because they are professionals. Because when you have a job you need to go do, and you go in and you talk to the customer and you listen to them and you listen to their concerns, and then you go and you fix their issues. And just like you said, they're like so happy and excited that you fix that problem. Like they're having hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential products maybe being lost, and you save the day, or you get a call from your manager and say, I just got a phone call from that store, and you know what they said? They really enjoyed having you there and want you to go back next time there's a service call, because they really liked your attitude, they really like your professionalism, and they really like that you were able to fix the problem the first time. And this doesn't happen overnight, but this is like some of the things that I really enjoyed when I did solve a problem that I had to critically think and figure it out. And there was definitely stressful times, how come I can't figure this out? Do some research and work at it and get better and grow. And when you start to get better, you feel more confident and more effective. Yeah. And then when you help others, that's a great feeling for me.
Yeah. And I think that's a great feeling for a lot of people too. That's one thing actually that it's such a common denominator when I'm talking to successful skilled tradespeople, right? Is their desire, their passion for helping others. And it's amazing. Because people don't associate that right off the bat, right? With tradespeople, I don't know why, once you explain it, and if you're in the skilled trades and you know it, especially from a service aspect, it makes all the sense in the world. But like growing up, if somebody were to put a picture of a plumber in front of me and say, hey, why do you think he does what he does? I'd be like, I don't know. Was he too dumb to do something else? Because that's the way that my mind worked when I was a kid, and for whatever reason, and, mainstream media and stereotypes and all this stuff, we see it all the time. But really, in all actuality, it could very well be he loves to help people.
Yeah.
Who knows? And so I'm glad that you said that. I want to get back on track though a little bit with your journey specifically. We kind of left off after you decided to take the refrigeration course, right? And you touched on some stuff through our conversation talking about living in Australia and traveling all over, Canada. And I got to know. So we've got about 25 minutes left of the show ish. I don't know how much time you have, but
it's going to take another 3 hours for that conversation. No.
I figured as much. No, but yeah, let's kind of get into, we know what the hook was. The guy you were talking to said you can get paid well and you can travel. Two things that you wanted that sounded great to you, right? So that was the hook. What kept you there? What kept you going and growing? Where do we go from there?
Well, for me, it was that after I got into an apprenticeship program, I had a goal set. I have to finish, because here in Canada, we have great apprenticeship programs where it's 4 or 5 years. And every time you go from level 1 to level 2, you get a pay raise. So I was motivated to work hard and get better at what I was doing. And as I got better, I seen lead foreman and service manager be like, wow, you're doing a great job, Trevor. Try this. Give me a little more responsibility, a little bit more responsibility. Then I went to school and then I got a raise. And I'm like, wow, I'm motivated now. The more I work, the better jobs that I get, the better opportunities I get. And then I was continuing to get raises. And my goal was to get my red seal in refrigeration. So here in Canada, I get the interprovincial, so I can go work at any province here in Canada. And that was my goal. So I worked towards it really hard. And at the same time, I knew, me and my wife were talking about it for years before, is that we wanted to travel to Australia, right? We love the sun, we love the beach. And we worked towards that. While I was working, I saved so much money in those few years while still spending a lot of money. And I had enough I had the option. I could have put a down payment on a house and stayed where I was or traveled. But my goal all along was to travel. So we had a nice nest egg. And before we left, I filled out all the paperwork, prepared before I went. Once again, it doesn't matter what you do in life, you should be preparing, setting yourself up. And so I prepared. I set up all trade recognitions and got all my paperwork done, bring all my documents before I even got to Australia. And then when I flew in there, I was ready and prepared. And I started making phone calls and getting jobs wherever I was going, whatever city I was staying in, and doing the things I loved. So I'd go and I'd work my hours, and then I would go and I'd have fun and explore, travel the whole country and work somewhere for a few months and then move on and make that connection with that business owner. Because I would tell them, okay, I'm here for this amount of time. Is there opportunity for me? They're like, sure. It doesn't really happen in like a business atmosphere. They want to work with you and, build you up and so that you can perform. Where in this, when you have a skilled trade and you have experience behind you, you can go and get a job and work for a few months.
Yeah.
I've done that across Canada. Like I could go and I've even talked to some of my old managers. Anytime you want to come back and work, I go, we got to work for you. So you don't ever want to burn bridges for sure. But that's how it happened. So I moved out to Australia and hung out there, did air conditioning, did refrigeration, learned so much. I worked in this one town called Broome. It's way up in Western Australia. And only for 6 weeks I worked there. I made a pile of money, but I learned so much. I worked on coffee makers. I worked on a naval ship. I worked on transport trucks. I worked on chillers. I worked in this little small town. I worked on all this stuff. Was I good at fixing all of it? I can't say I was, but I was learning. Right. And he taught me. And I learned so many different neat things, and while traveling at the same time, doing something that I love.
Yeah. No, that's unbelievable. Okay. So I got a question for you. Aside, in that experience in particular, being able to travel Canada, being able to go out to Australia while you're learning, right? You're being asked to repair things and work on things maybe you haven't seen before. Aside from the skills that you were clearly learning, what was the biggest lesson that you took away from that experience, aside from any physical skill?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, a couple of skills that I've learned was how to, be a professional, to be honest, like to be able to talk to people, communication skills, where, to be honest, when I was younger, I was a very shy person. Imagine coming on to thinking I'd be doing a podcast like this, talking on a video camera. Man, my face would be beat red, you know. And
you and I are not so different, my friend. I was that kid too.
But just from customer service skills, this is something else that we need to work on in the trades as well, is, you know, going up and being personal and talking, because I was always friendly. I'm always friendly with people. It's just where I came from, Cape Breton. That's what we are. We're very friendly people. And bringing that into the customer service deal, because that's what we are. We're customer service people. We go and we talk and we educate customers and we help them, and then we talk to them afterwards. I think one of the biggest lessons was really how to be personal, as well as there's a lot of things. There is a lot of things, you know, how to, you know, manage money was something that I needed to learn over time, something that we need to work on. And this is not only for the skilled trades. I think it's the education system in general, is that because I was making a lot of money where I went and traveled, because I would follow the money. When I was young, I'd move to another province, another city. You know, I lived in a place called Fort McMurray, Alberta. So it's called the oil sands here in Canada. And I would go there and they were just throwing money at you to come there and work. And when you're young and you understand the value of money, it makes it a lot easier for your growth in the long term. So another thing I'm trying to do is help educate technicians, tradespeople, is that if you're smart with your money, you're going to be retired way before a lot of the other people out there and the other, you know, skills, well, not necessarily skilled trades, but other businesses or other careers.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of opportunity here that people just aren't understanding. And with the shortage of workers, there's just going to be more opportunity to make a lot of money, have a great career, and be able to grow from that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, you did. You know, how to be a professional, communication skills, customer service skills, how to be smart with your money. Yeah, you definitely answered my question. And no, really, really awesome information there. And you're absolutely right too, because, you know, there's a lot to be said about the, you know, that how to be smart with your money, because as technicians and, you know, a lot of these skilled trades professionals, they do make a lot of money. And, you know, that's not an inherent skill that everybody has and how to manage it. You know, and I've seen that in my own company. I've seen that with me personally when I was younger. You know, I mean, I had every car from Fast and the Furious, you know, that you could see. But, you know, there's a lot to be said, because you can set yourself up for some really good long-term wealth if you manage it properly, you know, instead of just squandering it away. And listen, there's a line there too, right? You got to live a little in your younger years, and you can't hoard it all away. And, you know, you got to have a little bit of fun. I'm not a prude, you know, but it's something that I think that a lot of people should invest in, and very, very important for skilled tradespeople in particular.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not difficult. The difficult part is taking that first step. You know, and it's like taking the first step to learn a trade. Oh, well, why do I want to spend my time to do that? You know what I mean? Well, what you need to do is take just a little bit of action. Okay, well, where should I look on Google to find this? Okay, just look how to invest or how to save money, or, you know, that's just step one. Buy a book or listen to an audio podcast. What do I do? Okay, well, I make this much each week. Let's take a little piece of it and move it somewhere else. You know what I mean? Or don't use my Visa 45 times in a week.
Right.
You know,
right.
Because it's like, okay, I got this piece of plastic. Oh, it means I got a lot of money. No, it doesn't.
Yep.
You don't have any money.
What are you talking about? It's just a card. What, you mean I got to pay that back?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I've gotten caught myself in situations where I just use Visa, just swipe it. And then when I come to the end of the month and take a look at it,
yep,
I'm like, oh man, what just happened?
Yep. I only bought a $4 hamburger 27 times. I got it.
Yeah. So it's just learning those different skills. And I've learned those through different people I met, through the skilled trades, through just really trying to better myself, as well as help other people understand this, because I've done lots of things that weren't necessarily what I wouldn't do now. You know what I mean? Like going out and eating every day of the week.
Yep.
I've done that for many years. I didn't have to. I just did it because I could. And I don't do that anymore. I love cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, my family cook together all the time. I just love it. And that makes the difference, right? So.
Oh, absolutely. Not only is it better for your pocketbook, but it's better for your health too, right? You know, especially after you've seen some of the stuff we've seen, man.
Oh, for sure.
Wait, don't lie to me. That's why you cook at home now, huh? You did work, you did work in some of these kitchens, and then you were like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's something that you can't unsee sometimes.
Yeah. All right. So you bounced around, you traveled, you lived in Australia. Obviously, you went back to Canada. What happened then?
So yeah, I came back to Canada, and before I even came back, I made a couple of phone calls, had a job before I even got back to Canada.
Of course.
And so I had a job running a construction team in Western Canada, and I stayed out there for a couple of months. My wife went back to her family, stayed in Ontario for a little bit, and then we actually moved back to Ontario, closer to our family. And I was working as a technician here at a very large supermarket company in Ontario, because we were planning to have kids and stuff. That's one of the reasons why we came back to Canada, and we wanted to be close to the family because we've traveled so much, and it's always nice to have that extra help. And so I was doing those 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, work as much as I wanted, but I was getting to the point where I was like, okay, I'm having my first child. What's next? I was in that predicament where I never really planned to not be a technician.
Yeah.
And so, making massive amount of money, like 120, 130K a year as a technician. And now I have to make the decision, do I want to keep working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day and be away, or transition into a different side of the industry? And that's when I went to and worked at a company called Copeland, compressor manufacturer. I seen a job opening, and I'm like, well, what should I do? Should I stay doing this? I got a kid coming soon. The job is it's new. It's scary.
Yeah.
What do I do? All I know is being a technician. Don't know how to write an email. I don't know, how to, I know how to communicate to people, but what do I do? So I took this chance and jumped to this company called Copeland because I knew the compressors. I didn't know who Emerson was at a whole. So I took this job as a business development manager. And this is what technicians need to understand, is when you're making a shift from the skilled trades back into a business role, service manager, sales role, doesn't matter what it is, you're taking a massive pay cut.
Yep.
And you need to accept that. Because a lot of technicians, and even me, I used to think, my service manager makes more money than me. No, they don't.
Nope.
No, I'm pounding the hours in, I'm working, making a pile. So we really is what I'm working on, and what I'm planning and working towards to talk with technicians about, mentoring the technicians, is about, okay, you need to work towards what your goals are after being on the tools. Don't get out of the industry, because this is the there's so much opportunity, and people don't think of that. Like I said earlier, project manager, sales, service manager, business owner, entrepreneur, all these different options you have. But you need a plan for that, because that day came for me, and I'm like, I took the job. I knew I wanted to do it anyway. And then I looked at the amount of money that they were offering. I'm like, wow, how can I do this?
Yeah.
How can I do this?
Had to be close to half, right? Maybe 2/3.
At least 40%.
Yeah.
Less, if not more. And I did it. And that's the best thing that I've done, because from there, I stayed in refrigeration, and I worked for this amazing company. Like they've helped me grow immensely. That's why I'm where I'm at today, by all the people that I met over the years. But I just dove into refrigeration even more at that point.
Yeah.
Learning about compressors, learning about valves, learning about systems, learning about CO2, learning about all this different technology in refrigeration that I had no clue about as a technician.
Yeah.
And these are other options. Like, you could be working for a contractor now, and you could go work for a manufacturer later.
Yeah.
And you need to think about these things, because especially for refrigeration. I know so many manufacturers right now looking for anybody that has a little bit of a refrigeration background, because people aren't getting excited about it like me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make it fun for people because it is super fun. Last weekend, I've been doing a morning coffee with Trevor for the last 20 days or something. So 6:30 in the morning, I'll just have a conversation with people just like this. And people show up every day and we just talk about refrigeration, talk about whatever. But on Sunday, my coffee machine stopped working. I'm like, what is this? It's not pumping. There's no water coming out. And I'm like, oh my, no, this can't be happening. What did I do? Took it apart a little bit, looked inside. I was ready to rip it right apart. My wife was there and she's like, Trevor, just a second. Let me pull up the manual, because I like just diving right in. And so I stopped for a second. And while she was looking it up, I'm just looking at it. And I turned the pump on and I see something vibrate. It was just a zip tie or a zap strap, whatever you want to call it, loose. So it was losing air. While it was running, I pulled it tight and all of a sudden the water started shooting out. So I could have said that. I could have threw it in the garbage. I could have sent it to a repairman. It could have been a couple $100. But no, from working with my hands, understanding how things will work, I never really understood that specific model, but found the problem. Yep. Saved myself a few $100s, and now I got coffees from my morning coffees with Trevor.
Real life, practical example, right? I mean, that's a valuable life skill. I think that I write about this in my book actually, about how these life skills are real, and I'd be willing to bet that this up and coming generation, and not all of them, of course, I'm generalizing, but a lot of people out there don't know how to put a chain back on a bicycle, and that's just the cold hard truth is they've never had to, they were never taught to, they never, no one ever said that it was important, it was always, hey, work smarter, not harder, right? Work with your head, not your hands. And it's interesting because I'll tell you, 2 houses ago, when I was in my first house, the first house I moved to when I came to Arizona, the neighbor kid came by, the chain fell off his bicycle. And, I was able to put it back on, which was, it's very simple to do. But man, that kid was like 9 years old, and I've never seen a kid happier. I was that kid's hero for all of probably 15 minutes, and it was worth it. And how about that sense of satisfaction when you pulled that zip tie tight on that coffee maker and you saw that water flowing?
Oh man!
I mean, come on, right?
This was only 2 days ago. Yeah. This is amazing.
Yeah, you're still on a high from it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, man. I got it. So there's a lot to be said about that. So listen, we're nearing the end. I got to know though, from this Copeland position to now what you're doing now. I'm really interested in that refrigeration mentor. How did that transition come about?
Okay, so about September is when I started Refrigeration Mentor. Like I said, I loved working for Copeland. I loved working for Emerson. I learned so much there to add on to my knowledge base, but I wasn't making the difference that I wanted to make, and really affect people's lives. And that's when I made the decision back in September to start Refrigeration Mentor, because my goal with this business is to train, educate, and mentor new people into the refrigeration industry, HVAC industry, and really help them build their confidence, build their effectiveness to be the best refrigeration professional or HVAC professional they can be. And my goal is to work with both contractors and individuals to really help them succeed, to take my knowledge, my short 17 years of knowledge, and try to help them advance their careers quicker. Get that. I was there many times, 2:00 in the morning, nothing running in this, supermarket, and all of a sudden my heart's pumping, stressed out, don't know what to do. I want to take that feeling away and help them when they go in to this call that they don't feel like that. At least they know where to start, and work towards becoming, a better technician, a better refrigeration professional. So I work with contractors. I work with OEMs. I work with lots of different professionals to help them learn more about refrigeration.
Wow. That's really awesome, right? Because it goes back to what you said about helping people, right? Clearly that's a passion of yours. Clearly the skilled trades are what enabled it, right? And I'm sure that everything that you've learned at Copeland, you've now, and obviously the years prior, but now you're learning even another side of it, yet another side, right? The entrepreneurship side, how to make it work, what truly goes on in the minds of people who want to learn this trade, that might be different from when you were first learning this trade. Very, very interesting stuff. Wow. So, and you said you just started that in September?
Yeah. So it's brand new.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So
thank you so much.
Is it everything you thought it'd be so far?
There's such a learning curve. I'm super excited about it. I'm stressed out some days. I'm, pumped up other days. And I know that I have a huge mission. I have a huge goal. I have a huge vision. I really want to be educating, training people all over the world. And I'm going to focus on helping others, serving others, and making sure that they are the professional they want to be. And it doesn't matter if you're a technician or if you're a salesperson or an engineer or a designer in refrigeration. I want to help if I can help. And when I continue to focus and learn these different skills, because there's a lot owning a business, finance, bookkeeping, accounting, all these things that you don't have to think about when you're working a career as an employee. And it's making that mind shift to tell myself I can do this, and I'm going to work at it and not give up. Take action every day. Don't give up. Even on those days that are struggle, I always think of what Les Brown says. Think of those as character building days.
That's right.
And yes, some days are going to be really crappy, but there's going to be great days as well.
Yes.
Today I taught a group of people. Was the last course of a 6-week program. And, one of the technicians said, like, Trevor, I love this program. I love what you do. I love what you're doing for the industry here in Canada. So I really appreciate everything you do. And that made my day today, just hearing that. Awesome. And this is someone who already has 15 years in the industry. It started almost the same time as I did. And I just was really proud today to hear that. So,
yeah, that's amazing. It really is. And to your point, it is hard and it's a challenge. And, some days you're not going to want to get out of bed, right? But I would argue, and this is what I tell everybody, right? Without disappointment, you can't appreciate victory. And that's the bottom line, right? And it makes the reward all the sweeter. So listen, though, we're going to move to wrap this up. I got one more question for you. I ask, all my guests at the end of the show. We talk a lot about success. And we talk about how, people tend to define success in different ways, and the skilled trades can lead people towards whatever definition of success is, specific to them. So I'm curious, Trevor, what is your overall definition of success, and how are the trades allowing you to achieve it?
For me, to define success would be, being able to spend every day with my family, be able to travel to the places we want and really be there together, especially while my kids are young. And because I set myself up from a career in the trades, I can do that today. And so that's why I'm really excited about it. And I think that's really, success for me, because it's not all about the money. It's about, for me, it's about being with my family, being with my friends. And because of the trades, this is where I'm at.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think that, or I wish I should say, more people knew that, but that's the mission we're on, right? Right, Trevor?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's it. If you want, and once again, if you're financial set, you can do that here. I just read a book called The E-Myth of HVAC by Michael Gerber and Ken Goodwin, I think, or Goodwich,
I think.
Goodrich.
Yeah, I know the book.
Man, you read it, bam, there you go.
Yep, that's a good book.
You follow the steps, and and even if you're just you're not a business owner, just as a technician, listen to the way the business owner thinks.
Yes.
Will help you be a better technician.
Oh, I can't recommend that enough. Believe me, if everybody read, those types of books, especially that one, and understood how their employer thought, ooh, that's a surefire way to propel you into success. That's for sure. Awesome. Well, Trevor, listen, before we wrap up, where can people find you if they don't know you?
Awesome. So you can check my website out at refrigerationmentor.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, you can reach out to me, shoot me a message on LinkedIn, check out my website. You can message me through my website, refrigerationmentor.com. Josh, thank you so much.
Awesome. Trevor, thank you very, very much for coming on the show and sharing your journey with us, man.